Welcome back. I went back and forth on which jersey I was going to wear for the review. I figured because the Canucks wore the skate jersey tonight, I'll wear skate jersey and hat. It's a fantastic hat, so I have to wear it. I mean, it's got the logo right on the brim, so you can't see it. All right, so tonight there were 13 games because the NHL hates me. 7 of them starting at the same time, so did my best. And of course, on Friday there's 15 games. So that's going to be fun. That being said, let's go ahead and start things off with the Toronto Maple Leafs at home to the Detroit Red Wings. It was Nedeljkovic versus Campbell. The early edge was actually to the Wings. The shots were 2-1 in their favor at 5 minutes. Vrana's denied. The Leafs cleared out. The Leafs would press with 9.5 minutes left. The Leafs then start swarming. Nedeljkovic covers while that's going on. The shots are 11-6 then for Toronto with 4 minutes left, so they started to really pick it up. The Leafs get a late power play. Matthews has a blast that's saved. That's killed off. We go to the second period. Leafs press at 3.5 minutes. Matthews is denied in the slot. The Wings are pinned down, but Gagne eventually clears it out so they can get a line change. We get a power play for Detroit. That's killed off. Doesn't generate much either. The shots are 6-1 for Toronto at 8.5 minutes. So Toronto really taking over the game at this point. Raymond has a blast that's glove saved. Spezza can't bury a bouncing puck. And then Matthews does. He scores from Spezza and Blackwell at 15:48. That's goal number 59 on the season for Austin Matthews. Leafs press for another with 1:27 left. The Wings go to the power play. So that rolls over into the third period where it is killed off. Mikheyev then has a shot that's blocked. The Leafs press at 1.5 minutes. Tavares can't bury in close. He buries this one though. It was a nice tip shot. He scores from Nylander and Lyubushkin at 4:03. So that makes it 2-0. Power play then for the Leafs, and they score on it. It's Matthews with the 60th goal of the season from Nylander and Riley at 5:49. So Nylander with a couple of helpers in the third. Leafs press at 8.5 minutes. It's really all Leafs at this point in the game. The Wings get a power play that's killed off, and just to keep things tidy, the Leafs press with 2.5 minutes left. They get the shutout. So their final score is 3-0. The Leafs with the win. The record's right? Yep. 53-21-7. Detroit 31-40-10 with the loss. They've only got one game left in their season now. 3 stars are Matthews, who is the best goal scorer in hockey. And I understand there's people who get mad at, and it's funny because I think the reason people get upset at, I think there's a lot of just the anti-Leafs as well as the pro. It's just interesting. Toronto's the most divisive team, and now they've got the best goal scorer. Campbell's your second star and Nylander's the third. Shots in this one, all Toronto. 14-7 in the first, 10-8 in the second, 12-5 in the third. Final shots are 36-20 for the Leafs. Power plays, Detroit 0-3, Toronto 1-2. Hits are 32-15 for Detroit. Nedeljkovic saves 33 out of 36. Campbell saves all 20 shots for the 9th shutout of his career. So, yeah, pretty tidy night for Toronto. They clinch second spot in their division. They will have home ice advantage in the first round. We can all debate how that first round's going to go because it looks like they're going to get Tampa. But at any rate, yeah, they've clinched that spot. All right, moving along. Boston at home against the Florida Panthers. So this is one of those games that it's hard for me to really get a read on because Florida has clinched the East. So especially the third period in this game, I felt like, yeah, Boston's playing well, but it just doesn't feel like it's Florida. So, Bobrovsky versus Ullmark in this one. Good jump for the Bruins, but the shots are 2 apiece at 5 minutes, which is also noteworthy because for Florida to have 2 shots in 5 minutes means it's a slow 5 minutes for them. Achari has a rush chance that's saved. Panthers get a power play. There was a shorthanded Marchand chance that was held. That's killed off. And then Gustav Forsling scores his 10th goal of the season at 8 minutes. DeBrusk has a rush chance that's defended. Bergeron's denied on a rush as well. And Haula would then score from Pasternak and Hall. Hall had the assist on that one at 16-18, so I'll just take that off. And then 6 seconds later, Hall scores from Pasternak. So that makes it 2-1 all of a sudden. Bruins look to add some more. Thornton was involved in some punchy stuff. It's always interesting with Thornton against the Bruins because, of course, he used to be a Bruin. And he's 85 years old. So, he's playing well beyond what anybody had expected. The Panthers then get a power play, and they score on it with less than a second left off of a face-off win. The power play was only with 9 seconds left in the period. Reinhart scores that one from Giroux and Declare. So with that one, you can look at this after the first and go, okay, so Florida's gonna, this is it. Here goes Florida. Not really. Second period, DeBrusk would score to put Boston back in the lead from Marchand and Bergeron at 4:59. So that happened. Bruins then look for another, but Panthers would get some pressure. Ullmark holds there. Clifton then had a tip on a rush that was held. The shots are 5-1 for the Bruins at 7.5 minutes. Lazar has a rush chance fired wide. The Bruins get a power play. That's unsuccessful. Forsling can't bury on a turnover. And we go to the third period with the score 3-2. Boston's power play is a growing concern. It is terrible. Terrible for a while now. We're to the point where if they generate a couple opportunities that the announcers are like, well, that was a good one. Yeah, they didn't score, but that was a good one. That's always a bad sign. It's like, you know, when you're learning to ride a bike and you fall off after, 10 feet, and they're like, hey, that was a good try. It's not good. Third period, early press by the Bruins. Huberdeau fires one high. The shots are 4-0 for Boston at 6 minutes. This is where Florida gears up. This is where Florida turns the game around, and they didn't tonight. There's a delayed game call. The Bruins get a power play. That was killed off. Then the Bruins get another power play. Pasternak's denied. That power play was killed off. And then the shots are 10-1 for the Bruins with 8 minutes left. Eventually, rather early, Florida pulls the goalie, as they're wont to do. And Marchand hits the empty net from Bergeron at 16:55. So Marchand finally gets a goal. It's been a while. Your final score is 4-2. Boston gets their 50th win. They're 50-25-5. For Florida, they're 57-17-6. And I don't know how much to read into this because, again, Florida's already clinched. It's the same as Colorado. They've already clinched everything. They're not really worried about a President's Trophy. It's all about making sure you're playing the right kind of game entering the playoffs. Your 3 stars in this one, DeBrusk, Hall, and Pastrnak. The shots, 13-11 Boston in the first, 9-7 Boston in the second, 16-3 Boston in the third. It's not a Florida-style game at all. Final shots are 38-21 for Boston. When I did the 10-game winning streak, Florida was never below like 39 shots. So, yeah. The power plays, Florida 1 for 2, Boston 0 for 3. The hits, 30-27 Florida. Bobrovsky saves 34-37. Ullmark saves 19-21. So, again, I don't want to take anything away from Boston, but it just didn't feel like a Florida game tonight. So, they get the win, and we move along. New Jersey and Ottawa. Again, always entertaining, these games between two teams that are outside the playoffs, but with so many games going on, this had to be the one I didn't really follow that much, and yet the notes end up looking longer because there were a lot of goals in this one. So Blackwood versus Forsberg. Blackwood, his first game in a while, right? Kelly's denied early. The Devils press at 4 minutes. Zacha's denied from the point. The shots are 6 apiece with 9 minutes left. Pretty evenly played first period to that stage. Sens press with 6 minutes left, I should say. The Devils get a power play. Sharon Govich with a near miss. That was killed off. With 46.7 seconds left, the Sens get a power play, and they score on it. It's Shabbat. Scoring from Tkachuk and Stützle at 19:43. So that is your future of the Sens power play right there. Shabbat, Tkachuk, Stützle. Those guys should be combining a lot on power play goals. So we go to the second period. It takes 11 seconds for Batherson to score from Tkachuk, so it's 2-0. The shots are 4-2 for the Sens at 6.5 minutes, but Nolan Foote would get his first goal of this season, his second goal of his career, from Zetterlund and Walsh at 8:52. It was Walsh's first NHL game, so that's his first NHL point. The shots are then 7-5 for the Devils with 7 minutes left. So you can see the Devils are starting to generate the greater opportunities and more of them. Sens get a power play, though, and they score on it. So the power play getting better. Stützle from Tkachuk and Norris at 16:51. So there you go. Stützle and Tkachuk Norris. So, cool. But, again, it's Foote. He answers from Zacha at 19:54. So 6 seconds left in the period. New Jersey makes it a 1-goal game yet again. Third period, shots are 3-2 for the Devils at 4 minutes. The Devils get themselves a power play. Stützle scores shorthanded at 6:34. You know, Stützle's starting to become that superstar player now, isn't he? It's starting to happen. But, again, New Jersey answers. Zacha scores from Bratt at 7:29. That was shortly after the power play ended. And then Sharon Govich would tie the game from Severson at 10:15. So it stays tied with 53 seconds left. The Sens get a power play. So we go to overtime. Because it's overtime, I watched the entire overtime. That's how it works. Sens control early. Stützle with a net feed. That was blocked out. The Devils finish the kill. Teams are both turning it over as well. Entertaining, but probably not for the coaches. Norris with a near miss. He had 2 near misses. And then Batherson. What a fantastic goal by Drake Batherson. Pause this video. Go load it up on the NHL site and come back. It's fantastic. Stützle and Brandstrom with the assists at 317. Just, that's a beast mode goal. And it's a shame because it's in a game that I don't think anybody really would have been watching who wasn't a fan of the Sens or New Jersey, right? Because there isn't a reason to. The Ottawa Senators go to 32-41-7 with the win. With the overtime loss, New Jersey 27-44-9. So both these teams playing out the string. But Ottawa's got some reason to be optimistic for next year. Your 3 stars are Stützle, Foote, and Tkachuk. Shots are 13-11 New Jersey in the first, 14-9 New Jersey in the second, 14-11 New Jersey in the third. Ottawa has all 3 shots in the overtime, including the one that matters. Final shots are 41-34 for New Jersey. Power plays, the Devils 0 for 2. Ottawa 2 for 3. The hits, 32-24 for Ottawa. Blackwood saves 29 out of 34. Forsberg saves 37 out of 41. And there you go. Pretty entertaining game because, again, they have nothing to play for other than jobs for next year. That's why you see these young guys come in and play pretty darn well. All right, next up. The Columbus Blue Jackets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is going to be a quick one because Tampa Bay really didn't leave anything to doubt in this one. Merzlikins versus Vasilevsky at 1:37. Kucherov scores from Stamkos and Paul. That's point number 98 for Stamkos. Said the other day he had an outside shot at getting to 100 points. I only say that because, yes, 3 points in 3 games is doable, but again, you might rest players down the stretch. You don't know what might happen. You might get shut out. So, until you're 1 point away, I like to say outside shot. Also because there's times where I've said a player, well, he's going to get 100 points and he doesn't. I feel bad, so I try to hedge the other way now. So that was the first shot. Bolts look for more, but Columbus gets a power play and they score on it. It's Bjorkstrand from Roslovic and Werenski at 2:59. That was only the second shot for Columbus, so might be a rough night for the goalies. It wasn't. Bolts press at 7 minutes. Sillinger's then denied on a 2-on-1. Columbus goes back to the power play. That was killed off. Stamkos nearly buries one. The Bolts do get another power play. There's a near miss by Stamkos, but he buries the next opportunity on the power play from Kucherov and Hedman. I believe that's point number 600 in the career of Victor Hedman, and that's at 16:47. Roslovic then had a blast that was blocked out, and Columbus presses. We go to the second period with the score 2-1 for Tampa. Roslovic can't bury on a 3-on-2. Columbus gets a power play. That's killed off. And then Stamkos at 7:29 scores from Kucherov. That's his 100th point, and this is the 5th game in a row where he's had 3 or more points, which is rare in the NHL. And so, yeah, Stamkos has had quite the run over his last 5 games. Bolts weren't giving Columbus room. Cirelli has a rush chance. That was defended out. Bogosian blasts one wide. They press. But yeah, it's 3-1 after 2, and I had no doubt they were going to win this. Third period, early Bolts power play. That's killed off. The shots are only 1 apiece at 5.5 minutes. They're doing a very good job. And then Palat puts the final nail in the coffin here from Kucherov and Stamkos at 14:53. So, yeah, for fans of the Tampa Bay Lightning, it was a pretty good night. Stamkos gets point number 100, and then he follows that up with point number 101 in the third period. Your final score is 4-1. They also win their 50th game. They're 3 points clear of Boston, though. They're 50-22-8. For Columbus, 36-37-7 with the loss, so they drop back below NHL 500. Your 3 stars are, of course, Stamkos, Kucherov, and Hedman. Shots are 12-8 Tampa in the first, 11-7 Tampa in the second, 9-6 Tampa in the third. They outshot Columbus 32-21. Power plays 1 for 3 for Columbus, 1 for 2 for Tampa. Hits are 31-29 in favor of Columbus. Merzlikins saves 28 out of 32. Vasilevsky saves 20 out of 21. So, pretty easy night for Vasi, and your star players are picking it up, and Tampa's picking it up because, oh, look what time of year it is. They're rounding into form. So, we'll see if that continues. Next up, Carolina against New York Rangers. So this ended up being a pretty close matchup. Pretty good game overall. But Carolina gets the result they wanted. And it's Kochetkov. Kochetkov played very well tonight. So this is good for Carolina fans too. Kochetkov looks like he's going to be a good goaltender. And it was Shesterkin at the other end. So very interesting to see these two goalies against one another. Early press by the Rangers. Rooney has a tip that goes wide. The shots are 4-0 in favor of New York at 3.5 minutes. So Kochetkov was busy early, which I think is good for a young goaltender. Gets him in the game. He gets a feel for it and all that. Post for Nino Niederreiter on a rush. Then there's a power play for the Canes. That was killed off. The Canes press after it's finished. They pressed again with 8.5 minutes left. They get another power play. That was killed off. And then the Rangers get a power play as well. That power play rolls over into the second. The Canes finish off the kill there. The Rangers go back to the power play. The Rangers get another power play, and the Canes survive that. And that's where the power plays just end. There were 5 in the game. That's just gone. Trocheck would score from Shea and Niederreiter at 7:05. The Canes then press at 9.5 minutes, now with the lead and playing with some confidence. Kreider's denied. There's some pushing after that. And then Martinook makes it 2-0 from Stepan and Natchez at 13:48. The Canes would press with 3.5 minutes left, but they turn the puck over, and it's in their net. It's Kreider with his 53rd. He's got more than 50. He scores from Vetrano at 16:56. And then Teravainen answers at 18:19 from Trocheck and Shea. And then in the last shift, there's some pressure by the New York Rangers. Things get kind of brawly at 19:55, and we have a 4-on-4 coming out of that. Third period, Aho scores at 32 seconds from Jarvis and Slavin. So that's what you want to see, is a 4-1 lead. And then the tide kind of turns. Rangers press to answer, and eventually Trouba scores at 13:12. So that makes it 4-2. Canes press with 3.5 minutes left, but the Rangers get the puck out. They pull the goaltender with about 3 minutes left, and eventually they score at 18:48 as Lafreniere from Kreider and Fox. That's as close as the Rangers get, though. Carolina wins this one 4-3. They go to 53-20-8 with the win. For the Rangers, 51-23-8 with the loss. So, pretty big win for Carolina tonight. Your 3 stars are Trocheck, Kreider, and Shea. Your shots are 14-11 Carolina in the first, 15-12 Carolina in the second, 11-7 Rangers in the third. Final shots 36-34 Carolina. Power plays the Canes 0-2, the Rangers 0-3. Hits 28-24 Rangers. Kochetkov saves 31 out of 34, and Shesterkin saves 32 out of 36. So it ends up being a pretty good matchup. And if these teams meet in the playoffs, that could be kind of fun. It could happen in the second round, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. But anyways, I need to change boards. All right, next up, the Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This one didn't have much tension in it either. I have to say that the early games, there wasn't much drama with them. The drama was saved for the games that started at 5 o'clock my time and later. So the Oilers in against Pittsburgh. It was Smith versus DeSmith. DeSmith, of course, is just French for Smith. Sure it is. Yep, don't look it up. The shots are 3-1 for the Oilers at 3 minutes. The Penguins press. They draw a power play. Quickly becomes a 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off there because it was only 10 seconds before it became a 4-on-4. The Oilers press at the half, and eventually they open the scoring. It's Bouchard from McDavid and Kane at 12:47. The Oilers would press with 5 minutes left, and coming out of that first period, they played a great road period. So second period, the Oilers score. It's Bouchard again, but it's offside. So pretty early, you could tell in that replay it was offside. The Penguins, they get a power play. It cycles. Hyman clears it out. And then 1 second after the power play ends, Carter scores from Matheson at 5:23. It is one of those goals that they might change the time. And right now, maybe it does show as a power play goal. Although I still have the Penguins 0-4 on my board here. So we'll see. But, because they've changed that before. Kane scores from Yamamoto and McDavid, though, at 5:48. So it stayed tied for 25 seconds. The Oilers were bound and determined to finish this tonight. The Oilers get a power play. That was killed off. Penguins then had a power play. That was also killed off, but it's 2-1 Oilers after 2. Third period, early press by the Oilers. The Penguins were pinned down. They iced it as well. And eventually, when that's going on, you're going to draw a power play, and the Oilers do. And they score on it. It's Hyman from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid at 4:08. It looks like the Oilers' power play is getting back on track and getting itself back to where it was earlier in the season. Not 50% overall, but tonight it was 50%. Penguins try to answer. The Oilers go back to the power play, and they make themselves 50% with this one because McDavid scores from Draisaitl and Barrie at 9:13. Then the Penguins get a power play shortly thereafter. That was killed off. Pretty early goalie pull by Pittsburgh, but again, they're down 4-1 at this point. And so Mike Smith said, sure, why not? I really thought he was going to get the empty net goal tonight. He doesn't, but it only missed by mere inches. So he tried. And from behind the net, too. So we'll see if he is, in fact, the next goaltender that gets a goal in the NHL. The empty netter would eventually happen. It's not Mike Smith, though, sadly. It's Brassard from Shore and Cassian at 17:45. Your final score is 5-1 Edmonton. They go to 47-27-6 for Pittsburgh, 45-25-11. Pittsburgh's been cold for a while now, and at the wrong time of year, too. 3 stars are McDavid, Kane, and Bouchard. Your shots, 12-7 Edmonton in the first, 17-15 Pittsburgh in the second, 15-10 Edmonton in the third. Your final shots are 42-34 Edmonton. Power plays, the Oilers 2 for 4. Pittsburgh 0 for 4. The hits 25-22 Pittsburgh. Smith saves 33 out of 34. DeSmith saves 37 out of 41. I guess DeSmith just means the Smith. I'm kidding, obviously. But yeah, so Edmonton will face the LA Kings in the first round. That's been clinched. So I'm looking forward to that series. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, that being said, moving along. Next up is the Islanders and the Washington Capitals. So I mentioned how Pittsburgh's kind of going in the wrong direction. I mean, Washington's been playing well. Tonight's game not overly concerning, I don't think. Although the question I still have is, so who is your goaltender if you're the Caps? Who can genuinely push Florida to the brink? Who can genuinely steal a series against the Panthers? If that's who they end up playing, right? They could still pass Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh loses tonight, but I do still have questions about their goaltending. So it's Sorokin versus Samsonov. The Islanders had the early edge. The shots are 3-1 in their favor at 5.5 minutes. Wallstrom has a chance that's held. The Islanders score, but there's a goalie interference challenge, so it's no goal. Stays 0-0. Sherry would then score from Johansson, he's gone back to Johansson, and Jensen at 10:24. Maybe Jensen can go to Jensen, right? Maybe. Kuznetsov has a rush chance to save. The Islanders get a power play, and they score on it. It's Pulock from Bellows and Palmieri at 16:48. And then in the McNugget minute, the Caps press. But there's no McNugget goals tonight by the Caps because they secretly hate their fans. So second period, the Islanders press at 3 minutes. There's a bunch of people going, what's the McNugget minute? Caps get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are 7-5 for the Capitals with 8.5 minutes left. The Caps go back to the power play. That's killed off as well. The Islanders press with 2 minutes left, but coming into the second period, it's 1-1. And the shot totals are kind of looking like an Islanders game. Third period, early Islanders power play. They score on it. It's Dobson at 2:56 from Bailey and Barzell. Caps try to answer. The shots are 3 apiece at 7.5 minutes. The Caps get a power play. This is their chance to allow a shorthanded goal. It's Cizikas at 8:42 at the shorthanded marker. The Islanders finish the kill. The Caps go back to the power play. That was killed as well. Ovechkin not in the game. They had a nice ceremony for him for reaching the 50-goal mark yet again and for tying the record. But, man, when he's not in the lineup, that power play is just not there. So that being killed off, Anders Lee would then get a blast on a turnover at 15-17. He makes it 4-1. The Islanders nearly added another after that. The Caps press with 2 minutes left. They don't manage a lot, though, and they end up losing this game 4-1. The Islanders 36-34-10 have guaranteed themselves at least a 500 record on the season. So that's important. I know it seems like a minor thing, but to me, I think that's important to finish at least with a record where you have as many regulation losses as you have wins. For the Caps, 44-24-12 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Sorokin, Dobson, and Cizikas. The shots 13-10 Islanders in the first, 9-5 Washington in the second, 14-8 Washington in the third. So Sorokin played very well. The final shots 33-26 for the Caps. Power plays, the Islanders 2 for 2, Washington 0 for 4. Hits 21-18 Washington. Sorokin saves 32 out of 33, and Samsonov saves 22 out of 26. So some questions for the Caps. We'll see how they answer them starting on Monday. All right, next up, Calgary and Nashville. So this is a series we're going to get in the first round, right? Like, that's the series we're going to get in the first round, right? Because this is the one I want. I don't think I want another series more than this one in round one. I think every series in this year's playoffs is going to be awesome. I'm really excited about next week's playoffs. But this is the one that I can just get popcorn because I'm a fan of teams that aren't these teams. So I don't have an emotional investment in this. So all of the punching, all of the hatred, go for it. Cool. So it's Vladar versus Saros. Flames get an early power play because everybody got power plays all the time in this game. It's an aggressive, solid penalty kill. With 8 seconds left in the power play, though, Calgary scores. Dubé from Backlund and Anderson at 4:02. That would be the only power play goal that Calgary gets in the game. Not the only power play opportunity they had, obviously. So then Nashville gets a power play because, sure, that's killed off. The Flames get a second power play. Yep, that's killed off as well. Pressed by Calgary at the half. Then there's a power play for the Preds because it had been a couple of minutes since the last penalty. Aggressive penalty kill, though. That's killed off. Granlund had a blast that was blocked. And then Goodbranson had a fight with Jeannot. So, sure. More punching follows that on the next whistle because these teams really hate each other. And again, I'm really excited. Flames come out with a power play on that one, which Nashville didn't like. That's where I switched from the Nashville feed to the Calgary feed because the Nashville feed was just, it was getting ugly. So, and Flames had a shot that was blocked. It was Lucic versus Borowiecki shortly after that. I will agree with the announcers with Borowiecki's issues with concussions. It's not, I mean, I understand that fighting's part of his job, but you worry. So yeah, and then they finish the kill after the punching. So a fight during a power play, that seems rare, but in this game where there's a lot of penalties, so we go to the second period. Early Preds power play, it becomes a 4-on-4. Everything's killed off there, and then Yossi, he scores from Tomasino and Johansson at 5:41. Then Vladar holds onto a puck, so everybody celebrates by punching each other in the head. Duchesne then scored from Granlund at 8:08. That makes it 2-1 Nashville because punching makes them play better. Shots are 6-4 for the Flames, or 6-5 for the Flames with 9 minutes left. Lindholm blasts one wide. They would press. Eventually, they get a goal. Dubé scores from Yarncroke and Shillington at 13:14. That ties the game up at 2. Lindholm's denied as they press. Sissons then can't bury one. There's a press by the Preds. With 2 minutes left, there was more punching. There was punching at the horn, more punching. It's something because you got so many agitators in these lineups. There are so many guys that would be unpopular with the other team and very popular with their teammates. This is going to be brutal. Third period, the Preds start with a full power play because of the amount of punching that took place at the horn, I guess. Forsberg scores 30 seconds into the period, and that's from Duchesne and Granlund. The Flames try to answer, and they do. It's an even strength goal. Hanifin scores from Ritchie and Lucic at 2:03. He celebrates by punching people. He doesn't, but wouldn't surprise me if he did. The shots are 5 apiece at 5 minutes. It was a wide open, wild, absolutely insane period of hockey. Lewis then had a rush chance that was saved and held. Preds get a power play. They score on it. It's Forsberg from Granlund and Duchesne at 9:35. The Flames get another power play. That's killed off. The Flames press after. With 6:32 left, the Preds get another power play. That's killed off. With 2:48 left, the Preds get another power play. That's killed off. And then with 0.1 second left on the clock, Tkachuk gets a goal. So 19:59 or 20 minutes, if you want to put it that way. Tkachuk gets a goal. And so he forces overtime. Now at this point, Rittich's gone in. Saros exited the game. It looked like his left foot got hurt. So Rittich's in the game at this point. Former Calgary Flame, Rittich. They did not have an update after the game on Saros. We'll see. I'll probably be doing a news video tomorrow morning where hopefully we'll have an update on what his condition is. And if you're a Nashville fan, you're hoping he's back immediately. I like Rittich. Is he a starter in the playoffs? I don't think that's going to work out well, especially if it's against the Flames, a team who may or may not have a book on Rittich, right? So in the overtime early Flames chance, there was an exchange of steals. Both teams a little bit sloppy at that point. Duchesne couldn't bury one. Mangiapane's denied. Anderson was denied. Then Lindholm wasn't. He scores at 2 minutes and 1 second from Rasmus Anderson. Your 3 stars in this one. A win for Calgary. 5-4 in overtime where they win their 50th game of the season. 50, 20, and 10. Nice. That's a nice record. For Nashville, 44, 29, and 7 with the overtime loss. But they clinch a playoff spot with all tonight's results. So your 3 stars are Tkachuk, Forsberg, and Dubé. Your shots are 9-6 Calgary in the first, 12-7 Calgary in the second, 13-9 Calgary in the third, 4-1 in the overtime. So they controlled the puck a lot. They outshot them 38-23. Your power plays, Calgary 1 for 5, Nashville 2 for 7. Hits 38-36 for Nashville. Vladar saves 19 out of 23. Saros saves 30 out of 33. He comes out of the game. Rittich saved 3 out of 5. So, yeah, we'll see how long Saros is out for. Because if you're Flames fans, you're probably thinking, I hope Saros has a nice, really gradual recovery. I hope he's 100% in about 3 weeks, right? So, right. Anyways, I really want this series. I will love this series for everything that it is. Because, again, I don't have an emotional investment in the result, but I have plenty of an emotional investment in the game. After this game, the announcers even said, and again, it's Calgary feed I was watching, said it was one of the best games they've ever seen. I'm not going to deny that. It was a fantastic game. So we will get a great series. We will be spoiled by this series if that's what we're going to get. It looks like it is. Arizona in against Minnesota. What happened here? I don't understand what happened here. I don't. This was a game that I decided, all right, so Minnesota, they're not going to lose against Arizona. They're still battling St. Louis. They got to come out. They should be a little more intense. We've seen some of the favored teams not necessarily playing quite as intense. Well, Minnesota will, because they know what's on the line. So it's Vejmelka versus Fleury. The shots are only one apiece at 4 minutes. Wild get a power play. That's killed off. The shots are actually 4-2 for the Coyotes at the halfway mark, but Hartman would score from Boldy and Kaprizov at 11:05. The hits are 5-0 for the Coyotes with 5 minutes left, meaning they probably haven't had the puck very much. The team that gets the hits is normally the team that's not controlling the puck very much. And by the end of the game, the hits, well, they're not very high, but they do favor Arizona. The Wild get another power play. That's killed off. And then the Wild get their third power play of the first period with 33 seconds left. So, second period, the Coyotes had a power play. They had a short 5-on-3. So this is after the Coyotes killed off the Wild power play from the first period. The Wild do kill off that 5-on-3. The Wild get a power play. That's killed off as well. The shots are 8-7 for the Coyotes with 4.5 minutes left. Brodin with a net drive. That's saved and held. And then all of a sudden, the Coyotes score. Stralman scores from Schmaltz and Hayden at 18:15, and then the Coyotes press for the lead. So we're going into the third period, and I thought, all right, again, Minnesota, they know what's on the line. They're going to come out. They're going to just swarm. They're going to get this done, right? Even though they're without Zuccarello, without Spurgeon, they've got enough guys in the lineup that they can handle Arizona, right? Well, McBain scores from Stralman and Gostisbehere at 3:20, or at 20 seconds. That's his first NHL goal. So congratulations to McBain for that. Wild look for an answer. Greenway nearly gets one, and then at 2:56, Roussel scores 1 5-hole. Quiets the crowd down quite a bit. Again, Fleury, it's been a rough go for him in Minnesota so far. But Eriksson Ek would answer from Foligno and Kaprizov at 4:51. That gets the crowd into it, and then they really get into it when Marcus Foligno ties the game. He scores from Eriksson Ek and Greenway at 5:15. The Wild get a power play. What does that do? Well, it gets killed off. The Coyotes get a power play. There's a goal scored, but the Wild challenge it as being offside. But it's not. So Boyd gets the goal from Gostisbehere and Kessel at 10:22 on the power play. The Coyotes go right back to the power play because of the unsuccessful offside challenge. But that's killed off, and then the Wild get a power play. So again, you're thinking, all right, they're down 4-3, but it's the Coyotes. They've got to come back, right? They got to come back and beat the Coyotes. Near miss for Hartman. That's killed off. Early goalie pull because D. Nevison rolls that way. Most 6-on-5 goals in the league have been scored by the Minnesota Wild. If you look at the charts, they score 6-on-5 quite a bit. Eriksson Ek, though, can't bury one. And then there's an empty netter for Arizona, and it's Kessel, who's been sitting on 398 goals for a while. He finally gets goal 399. I really hope he gets goal 400 before this season's out. He scores from Schmaltz at 18:41. They'd pull the goalie again. They don't get anything, and a very frustrated Minnesota team commences the punching at the horn. So 5-3 is your final for Arizona. They go to 23, 50, and 7 with the win. Minnesota 51, 22, and 7. They miss out on an opportunity to pull 2 points ahead of St. Louis. Your 3 stars are Stralman, Gostisbehere, and Foligno. The shots 8 apiece in the first, 11-10 Minnesota in the second, 19-8 for Minnesota in the third. So Arizona gets 4 goals on 8 shots, 3 on 7 with the goalie in the net, and then the 8th being the empty netter. So your final shots are 38-26 for Minnesota. Arizona goes 1 for 4 on the power play. Minnesota 0 for 6. So that's your other storyline too. Their power play came up short. Your hits 14-7 for Arizona. Vejmelka saves 35 out of 38. Fleury saves 21 out of 25. So again, it's been a rough go for Minnesota recently when it comes to some of the goaltending stats. We'll see how things progress from here. But this result should get them going. Has to get them going. Right? Absolutely has to. All right, next up. Vegas in against Dallas. I keep saying Dallas doesn't do anything the easy way. If they won in regulation tonight, all the drama's over. They clinch a playoff spot. We know who's out. Now, based on this result tonight, it does mean now Nashville's clinched. LA's clinched third place in the division. They don't have to worry about those final couple of games. But it's Thompson versus Ottinger. Both goaltenders were fantastic in this. Just saying. Early jump for the Stars. They were up 5-1 in shots at 5.5 minutes. That's an encouraging start. Fox is denied. Nice toe save there by Thompson. Vegas presses at 7 minutes. There's a near miss by Carlson there. Amadio then with a near miss, but there's some momentum. Robertson then had a rush chance that was saved, and then at 19 minutes and 11 seconds, final minute of the period, Carrier would open the scoring for Vegas. He scores from McNabb, and it was a 5-hole goal. So that's one of those ones, again, it's last minute, you need to hold on, and Dallas doesn't. So second period, teams exchange turnovers early in this one. The shots are 3-1 for Vegas at 5 minutes. The Stars get some momentum. Then there's press by Vegas, but the Stars get the rush opportunity. And at 13:31, Dallas would tie the game. Robertson scores from Harley and Hintz, and that was a screenshot. So Thomas Harley with his 3rd assist of the year, and for Robertson, that was goal number 39. Hintz then fires one wide on a rush. The Stars had the edge since that goal. Sagan had a chance that was blocked. Hintz was denied on a fast break. Vegas gets a power play with 52 seconds left. It's the dreaded final minute of the period. Stone couldn't bury one, but there was a good cycle, and eventually Stevenson buries it. He scores from Stone and Eichel at 19 minutes and 58 seconds. That was the only power play Vegas had in the game, so they were very efficient on the power play. Third period, fast start, and for Vegas, and I put VGK 20 minutes, meaning their season comes down to this 20 minutes. How they play in this 20 minutes could decide whether they stay in this race or they're out of it. But Robertson would score at 3:13 from Klingberg and Pavelski. It's the perfect tip, and it's the 40th goal for Robertson. So he joins a pretty important list of players who've scored 40 goals for the Dallas Stars. It's not a long list, and so Robertson's a 40-goal scorer now. Vegas tries to answer. Raffl has a chance to deflect out. Robertson's then denied the hat trick by Thompson. Vegas presses at 7 minutes. Klingberg's denied. Hintz has a chance that's saved and held. Vegas presses with 5.5 minutes left. Really, the third period, it was all about Oettinger. It was between wearing this jersey or wearing my Oettinger jersey. And I was torn, but I went, Vancouver's not going to be playing next week. Dallas will be, so I might have another reason to wear an Oettinger jersey in the playoffs. I don't have a reason to wear a Canuck jersey in the playoffs. So Carrier has a rush that's saved, and that deflects out. Theodore has a blast that's saved and held. Things get scrummy after a save by Thompson, where he holds on, and you end up with a 4-on-4. Then with 32.4 seconds left, Vegas calls a timeout. So they did their best. Oettinger's the reason this is tied. We're going into overtime. Stars control and then hand it off. They turned it over. There was a surprising amount of turnovers for a 3-on-3 in this one. Vegas controls on the next face-off. There was an icing, though, by Vegas. Vegas, though, they rushed after that face-off win. Hintz is denied then on a break. Nemesnikov has a net drive. That won't go. And Thompson gets shaken up. So Patera was probably really kind of nervous, but he stayed in the game. And then we go to a shootout. And there weren't any goals scored in the shootout until round 7. And it's Heiskanen that scores the winner. So in round 7, Dallas wins this one in a shootout. Again, Dallas doesn't do anything the easy way. They win 3-2. They go to 45-30-5. For Vegas, they're 42-31-7. And basically, here's the deal. For Vegas to get in, they have to win both of their last games in regulation. Dallas has to lose both of their games in regulation. Dallas's final 2 games, I believe, are against Anaheim and Arizona. So they shouldn't be able to lose those games. But yeah, we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic now when it comes to Dallas. Your 3 stars, Robertson, Stevenson, and Oettinger, and I don't mean for them to make the playoffs. They obviously should make the playoffs, but I'm optimistic that maybe they won't get run out of the playoffs right away. Your shots are 8 apiece in the first, 12-10 Vegas in the second, 14-10 Vegas in the third in the overtime, 2-1 in favor of Dallas. Final shots 35-30 for Vegas. Power plays Vegas 1-for-1, Dallas 0-for-1. Hits are 39-28 Dallas. Thompson saves 28 out of 30. Oettinger saves 33 out of 35. And again, Otter came up big tonight. That's his best game in weeks, and they really needed it. So we'll see whether or not they can keep it up. That being said, I need to change boards. It's interesting when I do these reviews because very often there's points where there's a lot of games happening and there'll be less notes on certain games that start at certain times. Today was the ones starting on the East Coast. Usually it's the ones that start in the middle. Today is not the case. So we go on to St. Louis and Colorado. These teams could absolutely meet in the playoffs. Obviously for St. Louis, they're playing against Minnesota. That's a matchup that they could win. For Colorado, they likely play Dallas. That's a matchup they absolutely could win, so we shall see. It was Binnington versus Kemper in this one. There's an early press by Colorado. Then Kyrou was denied. Kemper holds on that one. Both teams getting some prime chances early on in this. Pretty wide open. There's a power play for the Blues. It becomes a 4-on-4. Then there was ice issues that caused a delay. I think it was at the St. Louis net. Everything gets killed off there. The shots are 4-2 for the Avs at 6 minutes. O'Reilly has a net feed. That's held on to. Kemper holds on to another. There's a scrum after that. The Avs get a power play. That was killed off. And then the Blues get one as well. O'Reilly has a chance that's held. That's killed off. So we go to the second period with the score 0-0. Nichushkin opens the scoring from McKinnon at 2:38. So Nichushkin continues this fantastic season he's having. Walker then had a rush chance that deflects out. So St. Louis trying to answer. But then it's Eric Johnson that answers, meaning it's 2-0 now. He scores on a rebound. Compher and Newhook with the assists at 4:49. There was some conversation about whether or not Binnington kicking out that rebound where he did, if it was great or bad or whatever. But again, it's hard enough to stop all those shots. Controlling rebounds is a whole other beast. Goaltenders that do it well are just the elite, right? So the Blues are turning it over too much, and eventually Colorado scores again. It's Manson from Newhook and Girard at 8:02. And it looked like we might be seeing Colorado just blow them out of the water at this point. But Blues get a power play and they score on it. It's Saad from Kyrou and O'Reilly at 13:01. The Blues press with 5.5 minutes left. After the second period, it's 3-1 Colorado, but St. Louis wasn't giving up. That being said, it takes 9 seconds for Colorado to add a fourth goal. It's Lehkonen from Nichushkin. Blues get a power play shortly after that. That was killed off, though. The Avs press at 5.5 minutes. Kadri has a chance that's turned aside. Rosen blasts one wide when he had the opportunity. Avs get a power play. That led to a shorthanded chance for O'Reilly. That was saved and held. They do kill that off. Kadri nearly adds one. And the difference between the Avs, I thought, in the last 4 games and this one, is they were more focused. But O'Reilly would score from Kyrou at 15:45. And so they pull the goaltender with 4 minutes left. And they score 6 on 5. It's O'Reilly from Buchnevich at 16:49. They pull the goaltender again with 2:23 left. And with 1:32 left, the Avs are guilty of icing. So we were a post away from it being 4-4. The Blues hit the post. They press. But eventually it's an empty netter. It's Kadri from Compher at 19:13. And so, yeah, your final score is 5-3 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche over St. Louis. Your 3 stars are Nichushkin, O'Reilly, and Newhook. I hadn't actually written Newhook's name up there, so I had to quickly look and see. So Newhook was the third star in that one. Your shots are 11 apiece in the first, 12-5 Colorado in the second, and then 15-11 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 35-30, or 34-31, I should say, in favor of Colorado. Power plays, St. Louis 1-for-4, Colorado 0-for-3. The hits 29-25 Colorado. Binnington saves 29 out of 33. Kemper saves 28 out of 31. So St. Louis makes a game of it late, but there's definitely some work to be done by both teams, I think, coming out of this game. And it'll be interesting to see if they do meet in the second round, how that series might turn out. That being said, moving along. So, Vancouver. At home against against Seattle tonight, and looking to sweep the season series. Now, in the preview, I told you guys what the score was going to be, so I hope you guys went online, didn't gamble, because, no. Anyways, Decord versus Martin in this one. So Demko is day-to-day, and with the Canucks, they're officially eliminated now, so it's happened. Because there were some that got, kind of like, hey, they're not officially eliminated when I mentioned it this morning, but they had a 1 in 1,000 chance. Now there's no chance. So it was Decord versus Martin. They were wearing the skate jerseys. Sadly, Spencer Martin doesn't have a skate mask, but it's still a nice mask anyways. Early press by the Canucks, and eventually they score on their third shot. It's Dries from OEL at 2:46. So it's an Abbotsford Canucks game because you got Martin in net and Dries getting a goal. And then Miller. He scores from Garland and Hughes at 3:34. That was the fourth shot for the Canucks. Seattle had none, and it was not a great goal. Power play then for Seattle. There was a shorthanded chance for Pettersson that was saved. It's killed off. Canucks then get a power play, and they score on it. It's OEL from Garland and Patan at 15:05. Seattle gets a power play, and then it became a 5-on-3 for a while. So that rolls over into the second period where the Canucks finish the kill, but they were just getting started. Rask's denied on a break. Kraken get another power play. It then becomes a 5-on-3 again. Martin makes some saves without a stick. He's channeling the inner Demko and all of us. And then during the 5-on-4, Eberle scores from Beniers and McCann at 4:59. But there's another Seattle power play. So that's a lot of power plays. That one's killed off. But then Geekie scores from Cheyenne at 9:12. The shots were 13-0 for Seattle at the half. And again, it reminded me of Dallas, really. I was like, wow, I thought Dallas played this game against Seattle earlier in the week. Canucks then get a power play, but it comes 4-on-4. Everything gets killed off, and then Seattle gets their 8th power play already. So we're not through the second period. They have 8 power plays. So wow is all I could write for that. It was killed off, so that's something. So we go to the third period with score 3-2, and suddenly feeling a lot less secure. The shots are 2 apiece at 5.5 minutes, but no Canucks penalties. Pressed by the Canucks at 6 minutes. Garland had a rush chance that was blocked out. The Canucks' fourth line then got some good pressure in there. The Canucks get a power play. That's killed off. And then it's Luke Schenn. Really hard-working player. I'm really glad he's back in Vancouver. He gets a goal from Highmore and Hughes at 13:08. Kraken would try to answer, but Hughes gets another goal, or gets a goal, I should say, to go with his assists from Garland at 15:59. And cue the Bruce, there it is, chance, all that fun stuff. And in the last shift, the Canucks press. So your final score is 5-2. They go to 39-30-11. Seattle 26-47-6 with the loss. Your 3 stars are Hughes, Garland, and Schenn. The shots 13-6 Vancouver in the first, 16-3 Seattle in the second, 11-10 Vancouver in the third. Final shots 32-27 Seattle. Power plays. Seattle finishes the night 1 for 8. Vancouver 1 for 3. Hits are 16-11 for Vancouver. Decord saves 22 out of 27. Rough night for him. Spencer Martin, 30 saves on 32 shots. His legend grows. With tonight's result, Quinn Hughes is now the all-time leading points producer in a season by a defenseman. Before now, 86-87, Doug Lidster had the record. In 80 games, he had 12 goals and 51 assists. That was a career year for Lidster. They played him into the ground that year. Quinn Hughes, this year, 74 games, 8 goals, 58 assists, and 66 points. So he's the new leader, and eventually he's going to be one of those defensemen that scores 80-plus points in a season. It's going to happen. Anyways, so feel-good story of sorts out of Vancouver. And now we move along. Last game of the night, Anaheim and San Jose, because this is how it rolls. Thankfully, it didn't go to a shootout. Stolars versus Kakkonen in this one. The Ducks get an early power play, and they score on it. It's Zegras from Henrique at 4:05. So Trevor Zegras continues his role. I believe he's up to 60 points now. And Zegras has a decent chance at the Calder. Absolutely. The fact that almost every play he makes is highlight reel, it's going to get a lot of attention. Shots are 6-4 for the Sharks at 8 minutes. The Sharks would press with 8.5 minutes left, but your score is 1-0 Anaheim. And this is a game that I was paying less attention to, obviously, than this one. Less attention than I was to Vegas and Dallas because it goes by importance. And right now, Anaheim and San Jose, draft lottery position isn't considered great importance. Second period, early jump for the Sharks. They end up getting a power play. That was killed off. Obviously, by the time the second period starts here, there's a lot less hockey being played. Comtois would score from Shattenkirk and Benoit at 5:26, and less than a minute later, it's Milano, who's having a great year. He scores from Terry and Simone at 6:22. The Sharks go back to the power play. That was killed off as well. And then they get their third power play of the period. This one they score on. It's Burns from Couture and Bordelot at 15:32. Sharks press for another. Gregor has a rush chance that was saved and held. Reedy gets the San Jose Sharks that second goal, makes it 3-2 from Megna and Shimolevsky at 18:36. So we go to the third period. Drew had a fight with Gadjevich. Then, with the shots 3-1 in favor of the Ducks at 4.5 minutes, the power play ends up going to Anaheim shortly after that too. That was killed off. Then the Sharks press. Terry was denied. Comtois with a near miss right after that. But Mahura would score from Milano and Comtois at 10:47. That was the 7th shot of the third period for the Ducks. The Sharks had 1. So the Ducks came into tonight, and they really took it over, which is odd because this is their first game without Getzlaf. Milosh is then denied on a rush. The Ducks press with 6 minutes left. The fans called a penalty. The ref does not. The announcers called that penalty too. I was watching the San Jose feed of this one. More pressure by the Ducks. There's a goalie pull. Couture has a chance that's saved. The Sharks call a timeout with 1 minute left. Whatever was discussed did not work. Your empty net goal is Aston Reese from Stolars, who had a nice play from his own zone to recognize Aston Reese was down there. And at 19:18, the final goal of the game is scored. It makes it 5-2 in favor of the Anaheim Ducks. They go to 31, 36, and 14 on the season. For San Jose, 32, 36, and 12. So they're tied in points. There you go. 3 stars are Stolars, Milano, and Comtois. The shots, 17-7 San Jose in the first, 10 apiece in the second, 14-6 Anaheim in the third. Final shots were actually 33-31 San Jose. Power plays, the Ducks 1 for 2, San Jose 1 for 3. hits 21-20 for Anaheim. Stolar saves 31 out of 33. Kakinen saves 25 out of 29. There you go. All done. And of course, remember, there's a 15-game review coming on Friday. So that'll be great. Anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts. I didn't do more videos today than just the preview and the news video because, you know, we're moving. So I did some moving stuff today and also did a 20,000 subscriber video on the entertainment guy because the channel's past 20,000 subscribers. So there you go. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video, or go check out the other channel. Why not? Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. I will talk to you again soon.